One evening, a stagecoach arrived in town carrying new settlers. Among them stepped down a young woman wearing a pale blue dress covered in travel dust. Her name was Clara Whitmore. She had soft brown eyes and carried a small suitcase that looked far too light to hold a whole life inside it. The moment Ethan saw her standing near the saloon, lost and unsure, something inside his quiet heart moved for the first time in years. Clara had come from Boston after her father passed away. All she had left was a letter from her late uncle, promising her a small piece of land in Redridge. But when she arrived, she learned the truth. The land had already been taken by a ruthless ranch owner named Victor Hale. Clara had nowhere to go and nowhere to stay. That night, Clara sat outside the general store trying to hide her tears. Ethan walked past, then stopped. He hated getting involved in other people's lives, but he couldn't walk away. "Town can be cruel to newcomers," he said quietly. Clara looked up. "I don't belong here, do I?" Ethan shook his head. "No one belongs here at first." After a long silence, he added, "You can stay at my ranch until you figure things out?" Clara hesitated. In the Wild West, trusting strangers was dangerous. But something in Ethan's eyes felt safe. That night, her life changed forever. Days turned into weeks. Clara learned to ride horses, cook over fire, and laugh again. The ranch slowly filled with life. Flowers by the window, music in the evenings, and warmth that hadn't existed there in years. Ethan found himself smiling without realizing it. For the first time since losing his wife 5 years earlier, the silence in his home no longer felt heavy. One night under the stars, Clara asked softly, "What happened to your wife?" Ethan stared at the fire. "She died waiting for me to come home." He had chosen work over love. By the time he returned, it was too late. That guilt had haunted him ever since. Clara reached for his hand. "You can't punish yourself forever." In that moment, something fragile and beautiful began to grow between them. Love. But happiness in the Wild West never lasted long. Victor Hale, the powerful ranch owner, noticed Clara working Ethan's land. He rode to the ranch with armed men. "That land belongs to me," Victor sneered, "and the girl belongs back in town, where she came from." Ethan stepped forward. "She stays." Victor smirked. "Then you're choosing war." And just like that, peace disappeared. Weeks later, flames swallowed the ranch in the middle of the night. Victor's men had come. Ethan rushed Clara outside as the barn burned behind them. Smoke filled the sky, and everything Ethan had built turned to ash. Clara cried, "This is my fault." Ethan held her face gently. "No, you're the best thing that ever happened to me." It was the first time he admitted it. The first time he admitted he loved her. At sunrise, Ethan rode into town alone. He faced Victor in the empty street, the wind howling between wooden buildings. Victor laughed. "You lost everything." Ethan replied calmly, "No, I finally found something worth fighting for." The gunfight lasted seconds, but it ended years of fear. Victor Hale fell into the dust, and Redridge was finally free. Months later, a new ranch stood on the same land that once burned. Stronger, brighter, full of life. Ethan built it with his own hands. And on a golden evening, beneath the same burning sky where their story began, Ethan got down on one knee. "I spent years running from love," he said. "But I don't want another sunset without you." Clara's eyes filled with tears. Yes. They were married under the open sky, surrounded by the town that once felt so cold. Ethan finally understood something he had spent years avoiding. Love is the bravest thing a cowboy can fight for. And every sunset after that, Ethan never rode home late again, because someone was always waiting on the porch.